Welcome to Pinball Mayhem. My name is Jeremy Ajima, and we're going to do a little repair work on the NSM Satellite today. Got a problem where I've got intermittent sound out of one channel, and this actually occurred when I first started using the juke again, after it was sitting for quite a while. I've determined what the problem is. Let me show you what's going on, and we'll break out some soldering gear and we'll fix it, and we'll see how it works. Well, I decided to finally fix it today. I've got my Discman that I bought brand new way back in the day, and I've got it hooked up into my auxiliary input, which is just the background music accessory board for this jukebox. So we'll hit play here. You won't be able to hear the difference, but you know, hey, at least it's some YouTube-friendly music here. Turn that on to play. It's really cool when you got it in background music mode there. The lights flash and everything with it, so it's really a nice thing to have. But the problem is, right now I'm only getting audio out of the left-hand channel. I'm not getting any out of the right-hand channel, or very little. If I were to crank the volume, it would kind of click back in. But we'll lift it up here and show you what the problem is. Alright. The problem is the accessory output transformer for the amplifier. What happens is the solder joints crack in it, and then you get intermittent sound. We'll take that out and we'll open it up, and I'll show you where the cracked solder joints are, and we'll fix it. Okay, so what I've done is I've pulled open the cover here, and I have removed the power from the main distribution board here. So the jukebox only has the lights working, everything else is unpowered. And the way I've got my board hooked up here is I've got some additional wires hooked up to the 70-volt line for when I hook it up into my main speakers in my basement. It's overkill, but hey, it's just the way I got it going. And these are the speakers going to the jukebox directly themselves. I've actually separated out some of the tweeters in mid-range so they get different volume levels, but again, it's just something I like to do. So this transformer is hooked up by a cable down below here. Here's the terminals, and you can hook the speakers directly to it, but this came with the accessory piece here, which I think most of them do, and that's what I'm going to keep using. So I'm going to disconnect those wires there. I've already photographed how I've got everything connected here. I'm going to disconnect these and we'll pull this sucker out of here. Okay, got it out of the jukebox. It sits on a slotted mount, so all you have to do is loosen the screws and then it lifts up and out, but this is quite heavy. There's a lot of copper and iron here. So this thing weighs a couple pounds, and it's got a really long cord, which it doesn't need for this application, but this is meant for multiple NSM jukeboxes. So we'll take a quick look at it. There's not much to it, really. Just a couple matching transformers there, so to divide the output from the amplifier out and change it over to 70 volt as well. So it's got a lot of good functionality, but we'll do some close-ups on some cracked solder joints and show you how to fix them. Okay, we're starting out of focus, but as I move it in, things will become clearer. And a good cracked solder joint we can see is right here. You can see a little circle right in the blob of solder, and that is from basically heating and cooling. This solder joint has cracked. That one's probably the easiest to see. Let's see what else we can see. We've also got some right here. It's visually cracked, and what that will happen is, as age and oxidation happens with that crack, it'll lose connection. And then when you crank the jukebox, it might make just a little bit of a spark gap in there and work for a little bit, then it'll quit working. Let's spin this around here. See if we can look at any others that the camera will pick up. There you can see a faint shadow of it right there. And just moving this is just a Q-tip here, I can feel the crack with it. It's pretty crazy. You can see it a little bit there too. But yeah, basically every one of these joints is going to have to be touched up. So to do that, first we're going to pull this board off. We can fix these top ones right now, but we'll pull it off. We'll show you what's inside here. There's not much. Okay, we flipped it over here, and we just have a series of screws that actually go right into the back of the matching transformers. or the output transformers, I should say. I keep saying matching transformers, but they're audio output transformers. It's really nice that this jukebox has these, because I like to take advantage of this kind of stuff. There are advantages to using 70 volts in your setup, but they're not something that's really needed for the home environment. But I just like messing with it. Okay, there's some metal plates I hear clinking around in there, and that's off. So, just got an empty shell here. This is the metal bar that those screws were attached to. There's going to be another one on this side. So these two heavy transformers are just wired up to the underside of this board. And probably what I'll do is I'll unsolder the transformers. Their connections are right here and right up here. Pull this board off, because we also got some connections buried inside there. So right down in there we got them buried. So yeah, we will be taking those off as well. So what kind of equipment am I going to use for this? Here's my trusty desoldering station. It's nice and powerful. Got a nice pistol grip here. This is just an off-brand one that I purchased quite a long time ago at Circuit Specialties. It's worked really well for me. This gun I'm going to use to basically unsolder things and pull this board off, and then I can get at all these solder joints. A lot of these are just through passes. It's via, basically. It's where they connect the solder from one side of the board to the other side of the board. We'll pop this off, and that way I can also make sure these things have good connection. I really only have to do this once in me owning this, and it should last me a long time. So how the desoldering works is you get the tip really hot. We'll verify that there's suction there. And we're just going to put it right. I'm going to move my light a little bit just so we can hopefully see this process a little bit better. We'll attack this middle one here. Hopefully you guys can see it. Gonna put it on there, melt all the solder. Get the vacuum. Put things back. What we have is a nicely desoldered hole. Once I get all those from the transformer out, this board will just lift right off. Okay, all the solder joints have been cleaned off that connect to the transformer, and without any fuss or muss, this board just lifts right off. And there we can see some of the other solder joints on the bottom side. So I will work on cleaning those up. I'm going to clean off all the solder. Then we'll hit the board with some cleaner. And then we'll reapply solder. Now this board is also spaced above the transformers just a little bit. And in my determination, the spacer is this piece. So I will lay the transformers in here like this. Then I'll lay the board on top of it, and then it'll rest on top of these, on top of the side rails of the carrier here. And that's the spacer. So it should go pretty straight. It's pretty nice. On the other NSM that I had, I just, at the time, I don't remember, but I might not have had this piece of equipment. But the last one of these I did, when I first got these, I got two of these jukeboxes. I just heated up the joints and reflowed the solder, and they just bubbled and spat all over because this solder is not the best on this component. So that worked for that one, but I'm going to do the bigger, the more advanced fix on this by removing all the solder and then adding more stuff. Okay, so I've got all the solder removed that I'm going to remove. There's still solder around here. I'm just going to reflow these. None of these are cracked, and there's a lot of solder, and I don't want to deal with unsoldering those. That'll be a little tricky. So I'll give you a close-up view here. Here we go. So there's still a lot of yucky resin and stuff, which we're going to clean off. I've got some flux remover, which is good. You can also use rubbing alcohol. And we'll get these cleaned up and resoldered. Okay, here we are nice and close on the circuit board. I've got it all cleaned up really nice. Turned out really good. As you can see here, my brush is quite stained with the rosin, the old flux actually. I don't know if it's rosin, it might be rosin, but I use that in combination with just a piece of an old Q-tip here, wooden Q-tip, or cotton swab or whatever, and just scrape off and use flux remover, or also rubbing alcohol works to get that all nice and clean. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my high wattage soldering iron and I am going to refill in all these gaps. And the nice thing about this is there actually is little bits of metal. You can see it there. Well, maybe not that one, but let's see, like right here. So they actually do have a metal via in there that connects the top side to the bottom side. So that's good. Alright. Get the old high power soldering iron out and we'll get cracking on it and we'll be back with the final results. So what the problem is with this old flux that's on here, there's old flux actually in the middle in the vias of here, and it's causing me some trouble. Because what happens is you apply the solder and it starts bubbling up on you because the heat. Watch what happens here. There it goes. See it bubbling? Can't get a good solder joint that way. It's not that the soldering iron's too hot. It's that it's reacting with the flux, the old flux. So it is done. Took long enough, but I found that with the ones that were really bad, acting like a little gas jet when I put the soldering iron on them, I'd suck out as much solder as I could between the two halves, and then I'd put a toothpick in there on both sides, and that seemed to help get rid of that flux that was inside there. At least it made it better. So that's just crazy. When I first touched the soldering iron to some of these joints, it was, when I put some fresh solder on it, it was just like a little explosion. It was just crazy. And on the underside, what it would do is it would sometimes make even a little solder balloon with just air in it. It was really, really a difficult thing to solder. But, yep, everything's good now. We'll toss her back in the jukebox and see how it goes. Okay, got it all put back in. It seems to be working really good. It was like probably an hour's worth of work or whatever, but well worth it. Let me just start it up here, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear the difference, but both left and right speakers are now working, and that really helps on the bass end. Let's take a look.